What's been your secret to scaling your business to where it's now a 9-figure company?
To get to 9 figures is one of the hardest things to do. You not only need a really good product, you need really great marketing, you need really great sales, you need a really great team, but most importantly, you need systems. You need SOPs, standard operating procedures. In my company, there's a standard operating procedure for everything we do. And this is a little bit of a joke and exaggerated, but there's legitimately a standard operating procedure if you want to go to the bathroom or if you want to make coffee. The whole point of that is for every system and function in the business, it has to be documented. Because if it is documented, that means that if I get sick today, I can pass my colleague that document and they can actually do my work function. So therefore, you are no longer relying on me. And when you are an 8-figure business owner, a lot of times people are still relying on the CEO. But when you become a 9-figure business owner, people aren't just relying on the CEO anymore. They're relying on the machine and the system. So the CEO could die, but the machine and the system will continue to scale.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good advice. Even if you're a 6-figure business or a 7-figure business, and certainly as you get into 8 and 9, you need everything to be documented. You need processes. You need, this is the way we do this. This is the way this works. This is how it should be done. This is who's responsible for it. These are the steps. This is how you know it's done. Otherwise, you're just always putting out the today fires, right? Today this happened. This client called and was angry. This thing happened. This thing broke. And you're, by the end of the day, you maybe hopefully put out most of those fires, but you haven't made any progress. And tomorrow's going to be a new set of fires, and you're going to have to jump right back in and keep firefighting yourself. So having procedures, having a way that things are done means you can delegate, you can offload things, you can know that they're going to get resolved the right way without having to worry that the person hasn't had the training, or they might do it a different way, or they're, not going to do it the way that the company would have expected. So it's definitely good to have SOPs and procedures. I think he was joking about, procedures for going to the bathroom and making coffee. Seems like that would be maybe an HR violation if you told people how to do that. I think he was joking though. But certainly you do want to have SOPs for anything that the company does that it, interacts with customers or vendors or charges for, or is just a critical component to the business. Those should all be documented and have steps. And then as you get through the big things, then you can document down the chain into the simpler, more straightforward things, still just to have a process and a consistent way of doing it. It makes it much easier to spot problems and fix things than if each person does things a little bit differently. So totally agree, SOPs and procedures and processes is key to growing any business.
20s and 30s and starting your first business, here are my 3 best tips to make sure you do it right. Number 1, naming your business. Research first, as this is critical to ensure you don't infringe on other business trademarks. Number 2, creating your LLC and selecting your business category. This is important and make sure your company is listed in the correct category. Number 3, proper documents for your LLC to insulate you from liability. An operating agreement, real address, and phone number are key for legitimacy and future funding needs.
I think we've seen this guy in other videos before. He's always walking so fast, kind of out of breath, giving this advice like he's on the way to go put out a fire right before he gives us a talk about how to set up our LLC. I don't really understand that. But as far as his advice, first, naming your business. Yes, you don't want to infringe on anybody's trademark, but I also think you don't want to overstress about thinking about your business name. The name of the business is not a big deal to its success, right? Google is $1 trillion company, but it also could be something that 2 guys run out of their garage, right? Google doesn't mean anything, and the name by itself doesn't really carry any weight. It only carries weight because they were successful, but it really could have been anything. So overthinking the name and expecting that the name is going to have a huge impact on how successful the business is, I think is a mistake. Apple, right, is another huge company. Apple could sell anything. It doesn't actually even sell apples. It has no relationship to apples. So how they became a giant, computer industry pillar company, who knows? It wasn't because of the name. So there are some products that the name is what helps sell it, but I wouldn't spend a lot of time stressing about the name. If you think you might be just do a quick USPTO search, US Patent and Trademark Office search, just to make sure that name isn't taken, the exact name you want isn't taken by somebody else. But that's a very quick exercise. I wouldn't stress over it, and I wouldn't say that's critical to your total business success. If you screwed up, pick somebody else's name, you can always change it later and keep on going. As long as your business is solid, your customers aren't going to be too upset. Then the second thing he said was get the right company category. I don't understand. I mean, well, he also said your business could be red flagged for your name. I guess if your name was we sell cocaine, yes, maybe you might be red flagged, but I can't think of too many other names that are going to cause a problem with your business getting a loan or getting investors or whatever because of the name of the business, unless it's just something totally outrageous like that. Same thing with the business category, right? We do accounting, but if my NAICS code accidentally said we did plumbing or refrigerator repair or long haul trucking, nothing's gonna get screwed up. I would just go and recategorize it the next time I filed my tax return and on we'd go. Not a big deal at all. And again, I don't see you getting denied funding from investors or banks because your code doesn't exactly match what you do. Obviously, try to get that right, but I mean, the whole tip about that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And then the last thing he was talking about was having the correct paperwork for your LLC. Again, yes, grab some boilerplate documents. If it's just you, if you're a single member LLC, there's nobody really to argue with. On the other hand, if you have partners, then yes, take the time to make sure you've properly documented who's contributing what, who's doing what happens in the event that you close the business or split up or disagree or sell the business. Those are all key things to figure out, but that should be part of your overall business strategy anyway. So hopefully you are taking care of that. But if you're just a one-person business, again, boilerplate forms are going to be fine. Having the LLC is going to offer protection, and the rest of it, don't spend thousands of dollars with a lawyer, most likely. Asterisk, this is not legal advice. It kind of is, but it isn't. You don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars drawing up custom documents for your LLC when you can use boilerplate documents just as well if it's just you running the business in 99% of the cases.
This is the single biggest mistake that small and medium-sized businesses make. They build a product that they want and they love, and they fall in love with the product instead of the ideal client, and so their business is limited to them or people like them. Just like trying to influence your kids and being able to influence the ones that are easy, like you. If you're going to run a business, it's got to be for them. It's not for you. If you do that, you're going to be able to grow.
All right, Tony Robbins. Wow, he's been around since I was a kid and still going strong. I have to imagine there's some hair dye involved there because he's older than I am and I have more gray. So I think that's probably some hair dye in that video. But that aside, I think the advice is good. A lot of people, especially engineering types, tend to fall in love with the idea of building a product. And they spend a lot of time building, designing, tweaking, rebuilding a product, never stopping to really ask, is this something that everybody's going to want? And is it done the way that the mass market or the target audience is going to really appreciate, or is it just something that I think is amazing? And I have lots of stories from my early days working with startup founders and venture capital types with people who were coming up with crazy ideas that they thought would be world changing, and really the actual market for that product was probably like 3 people. One was them, the founder, and then maybe one to their mom and one to a buddy who bought it out of pity. But it wasn't going to be a life-changing product that millions of people were going to buy. And in this case, I think Tony Robbins has it right. You have to figure out what the customer wants and build what the customer wants, and you're much more likely to be successful than if you build what you think is amazing and then hope that other people like it too. Sometimes that works. There are common problems that people solve in a way that other people want to get in on. But if you really want to ensure that you're going to be successful, you've got to look at the customers you're planning to sell to and make sure that what you're building is really going to work for them, and then you have a much higher chance of success.
Top 3 qualities I think you need to be a successful entrepreneur. You need to fail fast, and you need to learn from your mistakes. That's number 1. Number 2 is you need to become a huge reader. Reading is like a complete hack to downloading other people's mistakes and learning from those without you having to do it yourself. Number 3 is build systems around yourself, because you can't do it all the time for yourself. You have to have good people around you. You have to have good systems. That's what's going to carry the weight in the long run.
Okay, 3 good tips for being a successful entrepreneur. First tip is fail fast, which, ideally you don't fail at all. But I think the point there is figure out if something's not working and switch, right? Don't keep banging your head against the same broken wall when there's a door 2 feet down that you could be walking through, right? So that's what he's talking about, is figure out when something isn't working and what you need to change to make it work. And I think this more applies to people who are trying to invent new products or in product types of businesses. I hear stories all the time about, somebody who's been working in their garage for 10 years to try to invent the perfect, dehumidifier or spackle remover or whatever. And then they finally emerge from the garage 10 years later and realize nobody really wants it anyway. So failing fast in those kinds of situations is key. Knowing who you're going to sell to, who the customers are before you even start inventing something is really the way to do that. But the point is well taken, and learn from your mistakes is the second part of that first tip, which is also key. Don't keep making the same mistakes over and over, or you of course will keep having the same bad results over and over. The second thing he said was read. Again, I agree, there's lots of good knowledge, and if you're not a big reader, like I love to read, I love books, but there is a YouTube video out there for everything. And chances are if there's one, there's 10 or 15 or 20. So whatever you're trying to learn and get more knowledge on and be more experienced with, definitely you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can go and learn from books. You can learn from watching videos. Just make sure that the person you're listening to or the people you're listening to have been down the road, they know what they're talking about, and they're giving you good advice. And that's not always easy to do, which is why books are a little bit more of a good signal, right? If you can go find a book in a bookstore or on Amazon that's not just an ebook, it means a publisher read it, an editor read it, and there was enough audience and enough people thought that was good advice that hopefully that's a good quality signal. Anybody can put up a YouTube video. Example here, right? I would say I do know what I'm talking about, but there's plenty of people out there that don't, and you may not be able to tell the difference. So, reading books about how to do well in business is a great strategy. The third tip was build systems and have good people around you. Even if you're a solo operator, it's good to have a standard operating procedure, a checklist, a way that you do things so you can be repeatable. And then as you figure out ways to improve the process, you update those procedures. But then the great thing about having that is when you hire your first person, you already have a system for them to use. Here's how to do this. If it's a window cleaning business, here's how we clean the windows. We start here, we do this, and then at the end you clean up and then it's done. No matter what the business is, there should be standard operating procedures. It doesn't have to be super formal, but the more you have systems, the easier it is to bring people on and have them be successful. Set expectations, know who you need to hire because you know what you need them to do. You hire the right people, you make sure they're doing what they need to do, and you continue to grow the business. Because yes, a one-man business or one-woman business, you're going to get tired. You're going to want to take breaks. You're going to want to take vacations. Things in life are going to come up that prevent you from working every single day. And if the business is only you, then you're not going to be able to keep it up. So the goal should be to grow the business. Using systems is a great way to do that. Have people that help you grow, and then you can achieve much more for them and for you than you could on your own.
There's very few entrepreneurs that can take a small business to a large business because they can't adjust to that transition of, I need to hire more people, I can't do everything myself. It's really important to understand that the business goes through different cycles. And the later cycle is you need to hire people smarter than you. It's people that feel like they have to control and they have this massive skills gap in their business because they want to do everything. They don't succeed because the business can't cope with it.
Yes, I would definitely agree. I think almost anybody with the skill and ambition and grit and hustle can grow a business to $1 million a year in revenue, right? Whether it's a plumbing business or a professional service business or a product selling e-commerce business, you can get to $1 million on your own efforts, just on working hard, on putting in the hours, on getting a few people to help you, but you can get there. But going from $1 million to 10 million, there's just no way you can do it with just working hard and putting in the time. There's just too many things to do, and you can't control it all, you can't do it all, you can't manage it all on your own efforts. So going from 0 to 1 million, you can wing it and you can figure it out. But going from 1 million to 10 million and beyond, you have to put systems in place. You have to put people in place. You have to be able to delegate and manage the people doing the work, not do all the work yourself. If you can do that, then you can absolutely grow well beyond, even 10 million, 100 million, whatever. If you're not able to do that, and it's not something you learn anywhere, it's not something you learn in school or even in other jobs you've had or anything else. It's really something that is unique to that situation. If you can figure it out, you can do very well. If you can't, you're always going to be kind of stuck, and not only stuck, but always sort of forced to put in long hours, long days, work weekends, work evenings, always feel like everything's on your shoulders. because it will be, because you haven't built out the team and the system to be able to grow the business past the point of what you can personally handle. And that's where a lot of people get stuck. You don't have to get stuck there, but if you don't make the effort to learn how to delegate, how to hire, how to build systems, then you will inevitably get stuck in somewhere, $1 million, 2 million, 3 million, whatever that number is that you can handle yourself without going completely nuts. That's where you're going to cap out. If you want to get past that, you got to put a whole different system and a whole different mindset in place. So this is a video I completely agree with.